Political analyst, Baldwin Wallace political science professor Dr. Tom Sutton joins us now. It is the day after the election. We're all kind of absorbing the results today. No more campaign stops, no more ads. So what do you feel are the primary things that are going to come out of this election going forward?
Well, we spent $6 billion and we saw 1 seat change in the Senate, 5 seat changes in the House, and the White House is the same as it was before. A lot of money spent, a lot of negativity. I don't think we necessarily came together, but I think the issues are at the point where we have to come together to solve some of these many issues that we're facing.
What about a national agenda of some sort?
Well, I think the national agenda is a lot of what President Obama ran on. It's about implementation of the Affordable Health Care Act. It's about dealing with the tax situation and deficit reduction. It's about employment and jobs and the economy, which we all said was so important. And that boils down to things like trade policies that encourage exports and protect our jobs, education to help train our workforce, and stabilizing our economy so that it will continue to grow.
Last night, in his acceptance speech, the president certainly put a lot of focus on trying to bridge this deep political divide that was such a marker of the campaign.
Yes.
Do you feel that there is any greater opportunity for that at this point, given the fact that the lay of the land there in Congress is virtually the same?
Well, I think where the opportunity lies is that for the last 2 years we've seen an oppositional strategy by the Republican majority, and particularly those that were elected 2 years ago, and it didn't work. And in fact, 2 of those kinds of people lost Senate races in Indiana and Missouri. I think now the Republican establishment sees they need to move halfway. President Obama and the administration needs to move halfway. I think there's more of an environment now for some kind of a centrist, pragmatic approach to these very difficult problems that we all face.
And what about the GOP going forward? I've heard a lot of talk about, the thought that there's going to be a lot of questioning and kind of soul-searching there.
Which is what you typically see when your party loses. The Democrats did this 2 years ago with their big losses, and before that 2 years ago there was talk about the demise of the Republican Party, which certainly wasn't the case.
Right.
I think what they need to look at is long-term, how do they expand their base? They have to reach out to the Latino community. They have to reach out to young people. These are the fastest growing voting demographics. Democrats are doing the same thing. It is a race by both parties to reach those, and so immigration reform, as well as the tax issues, deficit reduction, and the economy are going to be the key issues to reach out to them and prove you're going to do what you say you're going to do.
Would you agree that we are seeing a kind of generational change in terms of how voters are thinking about the issues, one that maybe began 4 years ago and could be even more pronounced by the next presidential election?
I do, and I think some of it is that I think we're seeing more of a pragmatism by voters wanting to get things done, less ideological divides. Even though we saw a lot of ideology present in the campaigns, I think voters are saying this is not the way we want to go and the way we want our leaders to go. Issues are more complex, more nuanced, and as a result, we know simple answers aren't the answer. We know what we want is effective answers, and if we're willing to wait and also willing to sacrifice, which we're all going to have to do, particularly when it comes to issues of health care expenses, tax issues, and deficit reduction.
Dr. Tom Sutton, we sure appreciate all of the time you have spent with us during the campaign leading up to last night's election results. It's always great to have your perspective and your insights.
Thank you for the opportunity.